My name is Mike Gravel, former senator from the state of Alaska and recent unsuccessful presidential candidate. I want to, as one of the main authors of the National Initiative for Democracy, I want to go over in detail the Democracy Amendment and the Democracy Act, which is the package that comprises the legislative proposal of the democracy, the National Initiative for Democracy. And I'll go section by section in both the amendment and the act that I hope will help explain the thinking behind each of the sections. Now, this will be somewhat of a tedious approach, but I hope will be an enlightening approach. And so those of you that want to stay with this process, I want to commend you for your patience. And you can come back and forth to it as we go into it. First, the Democracy Amendment. Now, this has got 7 sections to it. It's essentially 1 page in length. The first section of the amendment, now keep in mind, this is an amendment to the Constitution of the United States, which will have 7 sections. And it will be the law of the land when it's enacted by the American people, not by the Congress. In fact, the process that we have here goes entirely around the Congress. This is enacted by the American people directly. And you'll see that these various 7 sections delineate how this is being done. The first section is really asserting the legislative power of the citizens of the United States. It asserts this power of the citizens to enact, repeal, amend public policy, laws, charters, and constitutions by local, state, and national initiatives, and that this power cannot be denied by the United States or any state. It's essentially asserting the obvious sovereign power that each individual has as they act within the constituency of an area, the state, local, or federal. It's very important to understand this because you and I can both point to people that we know, oh, that person's too dumb to make laws. And I know some, and I'm sure you know some. In fact, I know some in the Congress that are too dumb to make laws, but they do make laws. But that's not it's not that dumb person in Congress that makes the law. It's the majority of the people in the Congress that make the law. And it's the majority of the people in a constituency, whether it's the city of Dallas, or whether it's the state of Maryland, or whether it's the American constituency of the people. That constituency in the United States is 130 million people. So it's the majority of that constituency that is making the law. So that's the protection that we have against the dumb people making laws. Now, that doesn't mean that there's nothing in the National Initiative that does away with human nature. We will have the ability to make mistakes, but when the people are empowered, they, of course, will have the power to change and correct their mistakes. Many times when representative government makes mistakes, they don't readily correct those mistakes because it's to their disadvantage, because they'll be held accountable for those mistakes in the next election. Now that's Section 1. Section 2 of the amendment merely states that it says that it sanctions the national election conducted by a non-profit corporation called Philadelphia 2. Now, this is a California non-profit corporation that was incorporated in 1992 in California. Now, this corporation is now, its headquarters is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, all this corporation is doing, it's a 501c4, so that means that it can receive monies, and the monies are not taxable. You can't get money and donate it, and it's deductible. That's a C3. And all this corporation is doing is conducting the election on behalf of the American people so that Americans will have the opportunity to vote for the national initiative. Now, of course, if the Congress were to conduct this election or authorize this election, you wouldn't have to do this. But the Congress is never, never in your lifetime going to conduct an election to dilute its power and empower the American people. So since the Congress is not going to empower the American people, well, who's going to do this? Well, the people are going to have to do it themselves. And so that's what you do. You create a nonprofit corporation to go out and conduct a national election. This is exactly what is in Article 1 of the Amendment of the Constitution. And that is, what is an election? It's the gathering of the people who make a decision. And so that's exactly what we're doing with the nonprofit corporation, which will have total transparency. More transparency than we'll have any government election in American and world history. We will be able to identify everybody that voted, and there will be a signature to determine that they voted, because this is going to be an election over a period of time. And then we will cleanse the rolls of those people who die by the time this election is complete. So that's all this is doing. Now this is the same process that was, well, you'll see it here as we go forward. But that's all this is doing. This is saying that the election conducted by Philadelphia II is the enactment is legal. That's essentially what happened in Article 7 of the Constitution that brought about the creation of our Constitution. Article 3 now creates the electoral trust. Now there's a lot of misunderstanding about the electoral trust.